Hello guys, and welcome back to King Talks. So, I've got a new headset, and I'm not sure if I'll be using it yet in future things, because it's been a lot of trouble for me. I knew any headset would be more trouble than I had already, but I really wanted to change it because my one I have at the moment was not comfortable enough for me anymore. It was really hurting my ears. So it was actually really painful just to record, which is really annoying. So I decided to try and change it, and I want to see if it sounds okay. It's actually going to pick up my voice a lot better than my old one, so even though it's going to sound different, it's going to pick up the whole of my voice more, which could be a bad thing. Could be a bad thing. So today I want to talk about a couple of things, and first of all I want to talk about what I do as a living. But not yet. First of all though, I want to talk about a couple of interesting things which are interesting for me, and sort of explain why I want to talk about this rather than not. First of all though, I want to talk about why people don't tell their audiences what they do as a living, or as a job, or a previous job. There are people that do tell people, but in general I would say a lot of people don't tell them what they do on the side of YouTube or before YouTube or anything else, and there's a couple of reasons why that's like that, and I'll explain why I'm not really part of that group. But during this episode I'm going to be just filling in these holes. Now it looks a lot different to my last episode, but don't worry about that. I'll go over that on my next Let's Play episode so you don't miss anything, and I'm just going to fill in some holes. So why don't people tell their audiences what they do as a living? There's a few reasons there I can think of. So first of all, they may want just to value their privacy, which is perfectly fine, and it's a good excuse not to tell people, especially if what they're doing needs to be kept private. So some of the stuff that I do I can't tell you about because it has to be private like that. So I can't tell you where I work or what individual thing I do, because there's some legal stuff around that I can't talk about, just how it sits. So people might not want to talk to you about what they do as a living because they feel that it might give a bad impression off to the audience. So let's say someone works in McDonald's and has been doing YouTube for a little bit, and then they decided that YouTube pays about the same as McDonald's, then they'll start to do YouTube instead. Then they want to say that they now do YouTube as a living. Doesn't matter how much they earn, but if they then stop doing that other job, then for them it's then making a living out of it. Doesn't mean that they're making a lot of money, but it means for them they see that it's their primary source of income. So people might not want to tell you about what they did before or what they're doing on the side because they're either embarrassed by it or they want to keep it private. We covered them so far. Or they want to keep it private because of actual legal reasons. And it's to the point that people don't want to tell you because it may look badly on them. YouTube is all about the audience's perception. Doesn't matter how many subscribers you have. If you work as a person on a sewage plant or something like that, the money is probably not that bad, but you probably don't want to tell your audience. So different types of jobs would give off different perceptions of you as a person. Now what I do as a living gives off a certain perception as well, and a couple of people might take that wrongly, but it's something you just have to take the chance with if you want to tell people, and I decided to tell you guys. So we covered why some people might not want to tell you, and my reason for not telling anyone yet. Well, I've told a lot of people that I know out PvP and stuff and other stuff, but not you guys as a whole. And I haven't told anyone because what I do takes a little while to explain, because it's not a common thing at all, and it's a very individual career, so a lot of people take it the wrong way, they don't understand it. So as I've now got a series here where I can talk to you about things in a little bit more detail, then I feel that I can explain it to you in enough detail so that you understand it and don't have all these weird questions. So, what do I do as a living? You ask, and you're waiting for probably. Well, I'm an actuary. Yep, I'll write in the description as well. Well, no, I won't write in the description. ACTUARY, actuary. No, it's nothing to do with birds. It's nothing to do with whatever else people normally say for it. I've tried to explain this to people many different ways, and the best way to get an immediate response from someone is to say that I do the numbers behind things like insurance. So it's kind of a quick little look at a part of what I do. So I'm an actuary, and technically at the moment I am a student actuary because I'm doing for what I do, I'm a student actuary, so I'm an actuary in training, but I'm also a partly qualified actuary because I've done some of the professional exams that you need to do for the actual qualification, and the qualification is going to take about 8 years to qualify. So on the level of amount of time, effort and qualification level, it's around the same as being a qualified doctor, but for finance and business. So that's a very quick overview. It's hard to tell people what you do exactly though, because in the same way as a doctor, you all have sort of the same basic knowledge to begin with, and then you pick different subjects to specialise in, and then you'll become a specialised person in that area or that field. So at the moment I'm just doing my basic, well, the basic ones, exams and things for the initial part of the actual qualification, let's say. So in that I do things like statistics, financial modelling, insurance, life expectancies, so contingencies, risk assessment, statistical modelling, statistics, economics, maths, differential equations. There's quite a lot of things in it, but some of them sound that they're repeated as well, but they're actually different. So I do a lot of different things normally. So we're very diverse in our fields of knowledge, and yeah. So you won't have heard of an actuary probably. In America you might have. About 1 in 14,000 people in the UK are an actuary. So the likeliness that you've come across one yourself is very low, unless you're one of my older audience, where you may work in a company, and then you're more likely to know. So in things like insurance, it's a legal requirement to have an actuary actually writing up the numbers for things like insurance premiums and everything else, because that's just the legal requirement. So you have to have that actual qualification to be able to run these things. And across the board of directors in a lot of companies, especially the finance ones and the bank ones, most of the board of directors will be actuaries as well. So it's a very high reputable profession to be in. It's also incredibly hard to pass the exams. It's not like being an accountant where you basically are expected to pass the exams. Doing an actuary, you are expected to fail the exams at least once to begin with. The pass rate is something like 30–40%. It's a very hard profession to be in. So it's also a very stressful thing. And at the moment I'm doing a placement which is specific and is in one of the fields that I might be working in later on. And this is a bit where I can't tell you what exact thing I do because I can't. So let's see how well I've explained this so far, and I'll be right back. Okay, so it seemed like I explained that okay-ish, and that looks really nice now. Now the reason why there's no mobs around in the dark is because I am on the new snapshot, and in this, the whole thing with zombies and the spawning make it so that when you hurt a zombie, it will call more zombies to its aid. But there's a lot of bugs in it, and also Dinnerbone said that he already on Twitter that he's going to remove it. He's not going to keep it as it is, if he doesn't remove it anyway. Because if there's a zombie here at night, and the game turns to day, when the zombie starts to burn, it will then start calling its friends. And those burning zombies will call more friends. So basically, when I was playing this on hard mode, in the snapshot, I'm not doing anything that would really make it hard. I'm not doing caving or anything, so I'm not really cheating in that way. But I can't play in hard mode because as soon as one spawns in the daytime, or as soon as one comes down, being called its friends, they burn, the next one burns, next one burns, and then I've been AFKing here before and on hard mode, and then suddenly I've got 2,000 entities because there are 2,000 burning zombies, and those zombies are calling more zombies, calling more zombies, calling more zombies. So yeah, trying to crash the game out just by having zombies, which is not fun. So I'm not doing caving or anything at all. I've only been doing flattening out and planning things and doing lots and lots of digging. I spent 30 hours or something digging all this bit out, and I'll show you the difference when we get to the next episode. But yeah, I think I've talked about most of it. So I am most of the way through my degree. I'm on my 3rd year at the moment out of 4. When I go back, I'll finish it next year, so this coming September I'll go back, and then I'll probably do my masters and then go back and work. So I've covered what I do as a degree kind of thing. I've covered what I do as a sort of career. I've covered why I haven't told anyone before because of the time aspect, and obviously if I spent a couple of minutes in an episode talking about that, I might not cover it all. I hopefully have covered most of the stuff so there aren't too many questions what I do. Hopefully. And also, about 10 minutes through the video, so after the first clip, I noticed that there is a lot of popping in the background, in the noise, a lot of blops in it. So this headset has got a metal piece as the actual mic itself, not a thing with maybe a muffler on it or anything else. There's no pop filter or anything else. I didn't have one before, so I may need to look at seeing if I can change that. But from 10 minutes or so onwards, I will be editing the audio, so I'll put it through Audacity and I'll play with that. Something I really didn't want to have to do on a new headset though, because I do so many clips in a video. If I have to then go through and edit each clip individually, it takes absolutely hours just to get the clips ready, so I really don't want to be doing that if I don't have to. Really don't want to be doing that. It'd really spoil things for me and also get even less videos out, so that is annoying. But yeah, I have to talk about most of this stuff, so I'm going to run through another question that I had in my comments, and this is something that I probably will go and talk through when I do a new project. I might do it when I do the witch farm actually. I'm going to be doing that next episode. I'm really excited to do that so I can progress. So that's how my thought process works. I'm a very, very mathematical person, as well as my degree, as well as what I do as a career. I've covered them already. So I'm good with numbers, I'm good with logical processing, that's what I do. So when I come to design things, I don't like to follow everyone else. A lot of people have maybe a certain type of farm or certain type of trap, especially things like the blaze farms. Everyone just does that one design. They say, you know, this must be the best as all these people use it. And I always look at a thing and say, forget what everyone else has done. I often don't even look at other designs before I start designing something, and I work on a very logical process, so it's something called decision theory. It's very good in maths, it's very good in business as well. So I will pick an aspect of the build and build in myself things that I require from it, so that if you have maybe an Enderman farm, you'll go through running saying that instead of just doing loads of little guessing and testing, you sit there and say, what are the things that the farm has to follow? So what are the requirements for it? What are the needs of it? What are the resource needs? And what are the general rules of the actual thing itself? So with things like farms for mob traps and things, the first rule is on anything that's more than 1 high, you cannot use a tripwire or a pressure plate on the actual spawning pad itself, because it will lower the rates of spawning. So now that you know that, you can get rid of a whole different load of farms that you could have chosen to build. Next thing then, are things like light levels. So if you need to have no light in the actual farm itself, things like the witch farm needs that, then you need to build every part of your redstone around not having any light visible to the mobs. And you keep working like that, so that instead of just playing around with stuff, you know and you have a direction of what you need. So the point of decision theory is that instead of, if you have maybe, especially in statistics, if you have maybe 1 million variants of outcomes, and you sit there and you give in a category, so that, especially for things like insurance, if you say, ooh, let's just go for actually data mining. So data mining, you have a whole massive, ginormous amount of data you have to sift through. So maybe if you're searching for the best person for a job, instead of going through each application, we'll go for this example actually, it's easier to explain. So if you're going through applications, so you've got 1,000 applicants, instead of saying, no, let's sit here and go through every single person and everything else, how they really work is they have different criteria for decision theory, so that they could look at different factors in it, so that maybe a first field would be looking for how many people have work experience in that field, and on the application forms themselves they would have a criteria box that you would fill in saying if you have experience or not. So all the people that don't have experience will be ranked lower than everyone else, and then if they have enough people ranked with experience, then they'll just discard the rest. And that's the decision theory thing. So the first of all, they look at maybe if people have experience, and then get rid of the rest. And then maybe they look at level of qualification. So especially in what I do, there's a lot of different levels of qualification you can get. So maybe they'll look at fully qualified people only. So then if there's enough people which have experience and are fully qualified, then they'll just look at them. And they keep working them down until there's enough people to start looking at applications, and then they'll do manual checks to see if they're actually good enough. So things like the actual qualification they do, what kind of person they are, if they like their CV and everything else. Everyone else won't even get to that stage. So decision theory really lets you speed up processes with a high degree of accuracy. So in the farms, no, just picking the choice between having sticky pistons and non-sticky pistons gives you a range of things that are possible and a range of things that are not. So it really speeds up the process there. When it comes to testing stuff, especially in Minecraft, testing the efficiency between having different types of spawning spaces is incredibly time consuming. When I designed my first Enderman Farm, it took me maybe 3 weeks to design, going through different testing, rebuilding it, building different ways. So many different factors you can choose, very different. But on my witch farm, it's a lot easier, I guess, because there are certain stipulations which you need to have for the actual spawning of the witches themselves. So things like the shifting floors are the most efficient way of doing it, because of the small amount of spawning space you can get. So just from that, and the fact that it can only be so wide for the actual pistons to push, then you start with a basic part of the farm which you cannot change from the original. So you'll find that that becomes a standard for everyone's different types of designs. And then you look at the variations on top of that, so that maybe you look at how the redstone is wired up, because as long as it does the job, and as long as it knocks the mobs down, and as long as the light doesn't get to the actual spawning platforms themselves, then you've got a farm that works. And then you go into things like, if you're worried about resources and everything else, you may try and design things that are maybe more compact, or maybe move the whole row, move the whole thing at once instead of the whole row individually. So you have to look through things like that. So I guess that also kind of explains how my thought process works. Not as well as maybe I could explain it. So the whole point of decision theory is that you start off with, you could do anything, you pick a really strong factor in it which would change the farms completely. So if you say you need to have it AFK, then you pick that decision, and then you say that what farms can I make which are AFK. So that's how I work. Especially my last series, I did a lot of the talking of that as well. So if I go through a farm, I say, these are what I need out of it. I need to get X amount from this place to this place and have it on a timer. You know what you need from the farm. All you need to do is then design something that meets all the criteria, or as many of them as possible. So that's how I think on my processes. So that's why my farms are normally unique, because I'm not a sheep when it comes to farms really. Some farms which are well done and I've actually run through myself, and any farm that I replicate, especially like these, I run through all the science behind them, I learn how they work, and I really break them down and see if there is any way that I can immediately improve them. Things like I'll be doing that for the iron trench as well when I get ready for that. So my plan at the moment is for next episode on the Let's Play, I will do my whole witch farm. I'll complete all of that and start building up from redstone. And then the next time I'll actually do my iron farm over there somewhere. This is why I'm sort of flattening this all out. So that is, I think, a wrap for today. So mostly it's down to the microphone quality. If you can hear me okay, if the sound quality is okay, if it's okay to listen to. Now you can't just sit there and say you prefer the old one because you're used to it. I was really used to the old one as well, but I've been trying both of them since, and this one does sound better. I'm not saying that the actual quality of the background noise is better, but my actual voice is clearer. So I hope you can give me some feedback on that, and do continue asking questions and things in the description so I can do more things on these videos, because I've got a little list of stuff but they might run out quite fast. So thank you very much for joining me, guys. Hope you don't mind the microphone, and I'll see you next time.